Quick and simple sloppy joes. It's what we loved growing up. It's what mom made a lot, and you're gonna see why. It's quick, simple, and it's super delicious. Let's make it. So sloppy joes really can be simple, but guess what? We all have a different food memory and a different idea of what sloppy joes are, and each of ours is gonna be different. Your mom's is probably the best. Guess what? My mom's is the best too. So this is my mom's, my grandma's actually also, sloppy joes. Now, they're not gonna, I can't say they're the best sloppy joes. I think they're the best sloppy joes because it's what I grew up with. And we had them a lot because it's a convenience meal. And we used them a lot during the fall for harvest time when my dad was in the field. We'd take him out to him. It's also great for game days. So if you're tailgating or having people over, it's a great thing to have. Have it in a crock pot even to keep it warm, and it quickly goes together. So what we're gonna start with is making sure we have some onion chopped up. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I think when mom would make this, a lot of times, not always, but she would make it in a microwave even. Yeah, remember back in the day when microwaves were considered cooking tools and you would like use them for certain things? Yeah, I'm that old. No, I'm not that old, but we did do that a lot. So it can be done in a microwave if you want to, but usually I think a stovetop works slightly better. So what we have are two kinds of meat. Usually a sloppy joe would be all beef. We've always done half beef, half ground pork. Honestly, I think it balances the flavor slightly better. It gives it a little bit lighter flavor than just all beef. Growing up, I'm gonna guess it was for economical reasons that mom would wanna mix it because beef was more expensive. But I actually like the flavor that that gives. It could just be it's nostalgic to me. So what I have over here is my trusty pot here, and I'm gonna make everything in this saucepan because that just works well. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of oil for the bottom, and I'm just gonna put a little bit in there. You know, meat has some fat in it, but since I'm adding the onion too. Now, instead of having the onion cook separately like we sometimes do, I want it all to cook together. Guess what? Because that's how mom did it. Our moms always do it best. So I'm gonna take up the onion, I'm gonna put it right into some oil, and then we're gonna actually, with this, at the same time, we're going to be cooking our meat too. So I'm gonna put both of the ground meats right in here. And by the way, this is a one pan dish. We're gonna make everything right here in this pan. So while this is cooking, I'm just gonna keep breaking it up into pieces until it's all browned and evenly cooked. So this has been cooking. You can see I broke up everything, and really now there's just nice, you know, small pieces of meat. The onion is cooked, everything is browned, the liquid is all dissipated. Now, if you want to, and you have a meat that has a lot more liquid, you can drain that off too. But now at this point, we're actually add a little bit of flour. This tightens everything up. But you wanna cook out the raw flour taste, so it's easier to sprinkle it on now before we have the liquids and stir it in and just cook it. And now that that's stirred in, I'm just gonna let it cook for like 30 seconds here to a minute. And what that does is it actually cooks in that flour. And which sounds weird, but flour can have a raw taste. And so when you actually cook the flour in, it helps it not have that raw taste. And I know that sounds weird, but it really does make a big difference. So once all that flour is in there, it's all cooked, you've been cooking it for a little while, you can pull that off for a minute. We'll come back here, we're not quite done. And now's where we're gonna make the sloppy joe part, like the actual flavorings and everything goes into it. So I'm gonna start with some salt, just a little bit of salt to season it. And then we have, pretty simple, but the flavor components. So, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Pour that right in. A little bit goes a long way. You know, you use that, we've all used it, and it really does make a difference. Little bit of prepared mustard. Now, it's just the yellow classic prepared mustard. Not a lot, but a little bit really balances out. It adds an undertone that you don't know is there. So if you don't like mustard, I really would encourage you to try this recipe without leaving it out at first, because I don't think you really notice it. A little bit of tomato juice. Now I use my homemade tomato juice. You don't have to, you can use whatever tomato juice you want. What this does is, instead of just ketchup having kind of more a sweeter tomato flavor, this has a nice consistency to it that works well with this. And then some ketchup. Ketchup is very traditional. It has a sweetness to it. It has some spices in it always that have flavor. I usually use a no sugar added ketchup, but that's just my personal preference. And once the ketchup's in there, we just stir it all together. So at this point, it's not quite done. We actually do need to cook it a little bit more. But once you start stirring, you can see it's changing into, you guessed it. You know what it is, it's sloppy joes. I love sloppy joes. And personally, I think you're gonna love these because they're a good mix of, they have the sweetness of ketchup, it's balanced by the tanginess of that little bit of mustard, and it just all works together. So we're gonna bring this over, put it on a low heat, and just cook it for a couple minutes until everything kind of comes together and that flour is really activated. You can see it finished up, and it just is a nice, like to me it's like sloppy, but not too sloppy, if you know what I mean. And what I like to do personally, so this is just how I like to build one. I like to have on the bottom bun, the meat, and then melt some shredded cheese on top, because we live once, everyone, and we need to enjoy it, and melting cheese really helps you have a good time. So I always like pickles on top too. So I'm gonna use some of my home canned pickles, but you know, if you're not a pickle person, leave it off, put them on, it's up to you. This is really however you like it, but honestly, you don't need the ketchup and all that because it's all on there. So you put it on, it's beautiful. I mean, look at that. Now you guys know I love you and I'm gonna eat this on camera because this is gonna be, it's gonna be an experience for both of us, but it does look and smell good. Mmm. 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 That's good. For me, it's like a food memory, but it's just as good as I remember. Has all the flavor, has like delicious meat flavor, but then you have, I feel like I have stuff all over my mouth. Then you have like that good, sweet, tangy type sauce that's mixing it all together and holding it together. That little bit of flour that's helping. The cheese melted on top is like, hello, it's a good thing. Pickles to me give that acidity punch at the end that just wake everything up. I love it. I think it's delicious and I think you're gonna like it. What you can do is make this ahead, keep it in the fridge, use it all week for leftovers, for lunches, whatever you need. You could even freeze it at this point and have it in the freezer so it's ready to go whenever you want it. So you may not be taking meals out to the field for harvest, but it's a great one to have for anything else, tailgate and everything else. So share this video around so everyone can see how easy this is, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. Check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe and all my other recipes. They're all on there and waiting for you. Have some food and enjoy it.